Welcome back, everybody. We're back together here with another video, and we're going to be talking about Bond, James Bond. Are you a big fan of the James Bond movies?
Not really, but, I saw it.
I really wasn't a big fan of Daniel Craig as James Bond. For one thing, I didn't think he actually looked like James Bond. Blonde-haired James Bond. James Bond has always been dark hair. And actually, in the books, he's supposed to have a scar on his face. But that's not really that big of a deal to me. I really did like Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. 1995 GoldenEye. That was a really good James Bond movie. But of course, I'm not the biggest James Bond fan. I think that, of course, he's legendary. I do like the character. I think our James Bond here in America, when it comes to the movies, is Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise. He's essentially like James Bond, and those movies for the most part have been better, especially than the Daniel Craig movies. That last James Bond movie was bad. I didn't like it at all. James Bond died, and they gave Lashana Lynch's character, I don't even remember her name, 007, because 007 was retired.
Yeah.
Did not like that. So they had already been playing around in the wokeness already. But here we go. Let's look at this here. James Bond producer confirms character in films will be reinvented for the modern world. I always bring up a red flag when I see like reinvented for a modern world, modern audience. Where have we heard that before? Oh, Snow White, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't like when I hear that, but I will say this. Barbara Broccoli, she has been on record that James Bond will always be a man. There was speculation out there that James Bond can actually be a woman. She said, I believe like a few years ago, James Bond will be a man. Now, will he actually stay a white man? I think that he should, because that's the character. But there's been speculation they could actually make him black as well, like with Idris Elba, who is a great actor,
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that Henry Cavill, Superman, should actually be the next James Bond. I believe he's 38, 39 years old. He feels like James Bond. He's British as well. So would you like him as James Bond? I think he'll do a great job.
No.
You don't think he would?
No, he's more of a Superman. I mean, the James Bond that I like is
Sean Connery?
Sean Connery and him.
You like Daniel Craig as?
Yeah.
I don't like Daniel Craig as James Bond that much. It was definitely different, and that was some good movies. Make no mistake about it. Some of them were good, but for the most part, he really wasn't James Bond for me. I think that Pierce Brosnan was a better James Bond. But look here. It says in an interview with The Guardian to promote the Prime Video reality series 007 Road to a Million, Barbara Broccoli, who's the producer for all these James Bond movies, informed the outlet that there are plans for the character to be reinvented for the next chapter. I bet she and other executives haven't begun that process yet. The Guardian's Tara Conlon added, quote, she added that the next film would have to reflect the way the world has changed in the 2 decades since Craig was confirmed as the 007, and pointed out that Bond has often been reinvented. Now, James Bond back in the day, he was always fighting against the Soviets, Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. So she even mentions that here, I believe, too. Yeah, look here. She says, I go back to GoldenEye when everyone was saying the Cold War is over. The wall is over. Bond is dead. No need for Bond. The whole world's at peace. And now there's no villains. And boy, that was wrong. But you know what? If they truly want to, even do the Soviet Union, they can put James Bond in the 1970s or 80s, if they wanted to. But it seems like, they always want to stick with James Bond like in present day, So there's things that they can do. I mean, we're on the verge of World War III right now. They may actually have James Bond actually fighting against the Russians instead of the Soviets. It's possible, but yeah, when she actually mentions the Cold War, yeah, and it may be kind of, you couldn't really do, I believe, a Cold War thing in the modern day because Cold War is over, but you could do a time period piece of James Bond, putting him back in the 60s and 70s, the arms race, if they wanted to do that, but I don't think that they would. And I don't know if I would actually want to see that either.
Yeah, the last movie that James Bond died, just kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I thought like if she going to reinvent, I was thinking that is she going to bring James Bond back like he's somehow alive or something?
You know what also they did? This isn't in the movies, but these newer books, because Ian Fleming and Ben and James Bond, of course, he's not alive anymore. The new James Bond books are woke. Like, he's like a feminist and he's like triggered by certain things. I'm like, that's not James Bond. I didn't read the books. I don't want to read the books, but
James Bond is kind of like the type, he's calm. I mean, he doesn't real trigger.
He's supposed to be a ladies' man.
Well, that, but I'm talking about the action. Like, he doesn't like trigger. He like improvise.
Yeah, he has all his gadgets and everything.
Yeah.
He's almost like Inspector Gadget as a spy.
Yeah, he always find his way out, and
Yeah. I mean, he's gotten caught before. That's a
well,
good thing.
yeah, but then he
finds a way out.
Find ways out.
Yeah.
And he's just never, really doesn't like get scared or trigger or anything.
Yeah, James Bond's not supposed to be scared in the moment. He's supposed to be like a man's man, but they don't want him to be a man's man. They want him to be like a woman in a way. I mean, very feminine now, the way they actually, pushing stuff out there in the books. So when she says that, adjusting stuff to, a modern audience. Now, if they go like, make him like full feminist, that's going to be a major problem.
No, he's not feminist. I mean, the part of his ladies' man, I'm not interested. But he should stay as the old James Bond,
which is a ladies' man. He's supposed to be like that.
Well, I'm talking about the action part.
I get that, but still. Him being a ladies' man, drinking the martinis, that is a part of his character. That's who he is. They don't need to change that. He's still supposed to get the ladies.
No, but beside that part, when he, like, in the movie, he's always the ladies' man, I was always thinking, like, is he scared to get AIDS?
He ain't scared to get AIDS. He got a whole bunch of women, so... I mean, there's been a lot of James Bond movies. I can't even think of how many there's been. There's been a lot, though. But if they're changing, James Bond at the core of who he is, I got a problem with that. You can change the settings, of certain things, that's fine. But changing him, as a man, emasculating him, yeah, I got a problem with that. So
yeah, he should stay as like the classic, like the action James Bond,
Yeah.
Where he's always find his way out, even though he get caught,
Yeah. I like the old school James Bond. That last movie, man, that was James Bond in name only, and then he died. But
well,
they blew him up.
Yeah, somehow like I was hoping that like he survived.
There's no way he was gonna survive that explosion.
No, but I was hoping that he survived because like in the last movie, it seems like he's, done playing, being a ladies' man and just want to settle down.
He was settled down, man. That's another thing I didn't want to see James Bond settled down. He's not supposed to be a settled down kind of guy.
No, but the last one, he still have the action, he still has his move, But
Wasn't a good movie. So
No, it was okay
I
until the last part that he dies. Like, no.
yeah, I didn't really like it, but I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Until then, be safe.
Goodbye.